Okay, here we go. And I think we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I'm really excited about my guest today. This is his second time on my show. He's an amazing person. I have with me Sean Bond. He's the founder of the PsionicLeague and the silvercordspiritualscience. He's a spiritual healer who aids others in holistic healing and spiritual growth. He's a problem solver and spiritual conduit for teaching others about multidimensional awareness and interaction with all their individual DNA block technologies, higher functions and operating systems within anybody's soul, sparks and shards of their multidimensional self to help them manifest in the physical. Sean's abilities include past life reading, DNA reading, past life regression, Akashic record reading, licensed massage therapy, pain release, trigger point therapy, myofascial release, chakra balancing, Reiki master healing, and energy removal. But that's just like what's listed on his website. He also, like what we're going to talk about tonight a little bit, we're going to talk about like how, like certain organs can be targeted. Like for my situation, we think maybe my liver can be targeted, or it can be. We're going to talk about that. So Sean also gets into like the black programs, like the dark targeting and the black ops programs that are going on, like the military abductions, secret space program. He's into all this stuff. Sean is skilled at accessing our U manual for DNA technology of the body to track issues back to the point of origin in order to resolve any problem happening to the body or may be accessed by organic spiritual technology within each individual. He assists in creating operating systems to help individuals manifest dormant abilities to unlock their psychic potential and upgrade the body's energy systems. And with all that, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome to the show. Sean, thanks so much for coming back on, man. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me on again. I'm glad you're feeling better. What's new in your neighborhood?
No, nothing new, really. Same old. But I mean, like, one thing I wanted to talk about was you're going to be presenting at the Full Disclosure Now conference, which is, and I guess we could talk about this at the end too. But I mean, like, are you excited about it? And what are you going to be talking about? You think?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and for those out there that want to get their tickets while they can, go to fulldisclosuremovement.org, and you can see us here, and you can meet me, and we can have a chat and become friends. And I'll be having a booth selling all kinds of enchanted objects that help get rid of targeting, fortressing, camouflage, attract money. There's a lot of things people ask me for, so I'm like, oh, okay, let me put that in an object. Things to amplify protection of their sexual body and their ability to track their love. There's some other ones I'm making, and shirts and things you can put on with like hyperdimensional symbols. And
like sigils. Like would it be like sigils? You're making? Would it be like a
things that are like in unity with the big collective consciousnesses of authority for that specific type of energy, to bring it in to where it's permeating and empowering the person, and then running them through the mystery school automatically. I'll be doing a presentation on how to get rid of targeting of a person having psionic abilities, giving a little bit of psionic abilities to-do list, and how to learn them, and to protect yourself from targeting, and then get rid of abduction and become abduction proof, as well as be able to attract your positive soul family for greater amounts of visitation of positive ETs that are soul family to that person. Going into some stories I have, as well as some secret information that not many people are talking about, which go into a species that's like extra dimensional wizards and witches kind of thing from Sirius. Quite a number of other things. And we'll have some workshops and things for healing individuals and getting rid of their pain, and turning on their higher dimensional body function.
Wow, that's amazing, man. You're so advanced. Like you're really like, I love it. But one thing I was going to ask you was, when it comes to being targeted, like why why do you think people are being targeted? Do you think it, like in my case, it's because of what I do, or like, and then what is it? Some people become targeted for psionic abilities. Some people are obviously super soldiers. Some people are just, I guess, test subjects by the government. But what have you gathered?
So anytime I have a client that wants a consultation or clearing or healing, and they tell me what they want to take care of. If they're going into, I want to stop targeting. If they're like abducted or programmed, or like things keep attacking them, or demons coming at them, and all these reasons, it varies. It depends on what's targeting you, whether it be a being outside of a body, like a entity, demon, psychic parasite, multidimensional apex predator, or if it's in a body, like a dark sorcerer, the government agencies, psionic assholes and handlers, and things having to do with projects, having to do with monitoring a person for what they have. People are targeted based on how valuable they are, because the evil does not earn their authority. They have to steal it. There's a moral code structure to earn the mystery school of the universe, in which you earn tech by doing good deeds, becoming in unity, elevating, evolving, growth, what people call ascension in their individual being and energy skill sets, making their body feel safe, purified, one in unity, in peace with everything else. When evil beings don't do that, they're overwhelmed with haunted entanglements, so they're constantly getting their stuff stolen, so they steal and they become predators. So those things go after people with powerful abilities. The more targeted you are, the more valuable and interesting and rare abilities and energy you probably are emitting. And they have sensing devices to track, just like a predator would, with their nose or sight or hearing, to try to find their next prey, and they go for the thing that's most savory and valuable. So I will read into a person, and then it could also be AI or AS, or a combination of both, or some.
I was gonna say, because like you get into like bringing people into their prosperity and abundance too. Like I feel like this can go hand in hand with like targeting, because sometimes a lot of targeted people feel like they're down on their luck, like they're like life isn't going their way. Sometimes people can feel like they're targeted by the matrix itself, like, or by like this universe, because nothing seems to go right for them. So then they start to, think they're targeted by something. But like, do you think they're just not in like universal alignment, or do you think it could be both? They could be targeted and not in alignment with the universe.
It can be both. So there be factors with that in targeting. So if negative predators want what you have and they're going after it, and you want, it's all about camouflaging it, and I can go into prevention and them tracking a person through time. I do that in sessions. When it's having to do with luck, that is a real thing. That's a real energy. That's certain species have that up to the notch. Relic species especially. And then we are a super hybrid of 10,000 different races on average in a body, as a DNA library for Earth that will have a huge future in the future. So there's some of those races in our genetics have high luck capabilities, and then we can unite with our ancestors and go through their school and trade with them and work with them and help them in their DNA lineage, and they'll reward us with a stream of what people call luck, which is a lot of factors to the physics. Most of these abilities are accumulation of a type of energy density, and energy density has a consciousness, agenda, programming, effect on the world in your magnetic torus electromagnetic field of what you project into the world and what comes back to you, electrical and magnetic or gravitational. And if you in the current with how you interact with the hologram around you, that can be oriented in the concept of everything working out, being positive synchronicities, the universe aligned with you, everything flowing, being on your side, unity to the highest degree, greater relationships, better outcomes, the frame by frame, moment to moment timeline being in alignment with your will, your greater higher will, as well as the universe's will. And I'd say, like, sometimes, what people call bad luck or unfortunate events and suffering, they have purposes too. So some of the luck that people have will be negated by the other lessons that they need to learn or other things. So there's also a mental state that they need to maintain, ability to learn from everything, so they don't have to go to the teacher of suffering. And then a lot of other things having to do with the remedy of their unnecessary suffering, and to where they don't attract needed suffering. And then once a lot of things are out of the way, where the flow can be intensified to where it's as if the hologram loves you and it just brings things into your life. You find wealth, opportunity comes to you, great people, experiences, places, things you go. It's like freedom unlocked. Yeah, that's all components of it. Luck isn't just one thing, though. It does have a type of energy, but that energy flows through all these other systems of the reality that also must be mastered if you want to continually go up the hierarchy, capability, mystery school of luck.
That's so fascinating. That's what I want. I want all that. But what I wanted to say was, like, when did you start studying, like, the greater purpose of reality, and, like, how did you, when you started to come to these conclusions? Because somehow, or would you say that you got downloads that you, where you would start getting this information, or what happened?
Oh yeah, you can get downloads. There's different sources I get my information from. A lot of it gets happened a while ago, or around my 17-year-old kind of time period. I went through a bunch of temporal dilation, some positive, some negative. One like an example, I made one public where it was like accidentally took a drug that I thought was cannabis, and it wasn't, and it put me in a compressed pocket dimension of like a prison in my body, like spiritually in my body for a really, really long time, and having to deal with the other prisoners in there until enough suffering made me not take it anymore, and everything they threw at me, I learned how to outcreate and then master itself until I understood very deeply time and space. And I'm just really shortening that. It's a long period of horrible things coming at me over and over again, and then eventually learning how to become the top being a predator, positive predator in there, and then unite and go within, call for help from God, and activate love in a place that's really hard to create love, and then make it so resilient with all the darkness around me, and to where I could break out of that prison, and then put myself back together. And then with putting myself back together and retrieving them parts, all of them had all this knowledge and wisdom. It just comes to me instantly anytime I have a question in my mind. And then a bunch of temporal dilation, long ass dreams, getting abducted, visited by positive beings, angels, deities, positive ETs. It's pretty. This life is magnificently interesting.
It really is. It really is. Like, if somebody would have told me this like 10 years ago, well, see, like, I always had an interest in, like, kind of like UFOs and the paranormal. But then in 2016, I had my reawakening, and then I started studying, like, the greater mysteries, that you could say, like, and now I'm interested in all this, like, this higher knowledge, like, and that's why I like the stuff you talk about, because you get, like, you're into, like, really advanced ways of looking at the world, but the world is more mysterious than we've ever been taught, or anything we've ever thought, it seems like. One thing I want to ask you is these temporal dilations. That's basically like time travel, right? Would you say, like, did you have a lot of them, would you say?
Oh, tons. I have them all the time, and I mastered a lot of time abilities, so I can initiate them. Mostly I do them through bilocations. so temporal dilation, like this timeline observed in physicality. And so if, let's say, somebody's dealing with an advanced race ET that wants to abduct them or visit them, they're taken, they go off and do a bunch of things for maybe hours, days, weeks, months, whatever it is. Bunch of information, knowledge, motion, wisdom they go through. And they have a bunch of technology they built up off of each other, where the purpose of it is not to interfere with this timeline, because there's a lot of consequences for that in what is going on here on Earth. So they don't interfere by just putting you back with age regression or holographic, bring you back to a 0 point of your hologram of what it looks like when you were taken. So it's like you're in and out within milliseconds. Some of the species have gone into. So you barely notice. You have amnesia barriers, but you have all this data and memory and things stored in the altar waiting for them to visit you again, or if you somehow learn the psionics of it, to unlock it in this timeline, which is allowed. But there's also all this tug of war on light and dark that wants to prevent you from doing that, or wants to scan your thoughts of what you did over there, which is a lot of what the soul family, that people come to Earth and incarnate, that they have, that aren't brave enough to come here to get into the meat grinder of forgetting over and over again and suffering, but they still willing to support you in ships like cloaked in clouds and stuff and follow you around. They'll have missions with you here and be taking you every once in a while, and with that spurred alter remembering consciousness aspect of you, to do those missions, and then put you back in so that predators can't scan your thoughts and know what you did. That would make the timeline better, because they want to, the predators that are like Big Brother here, spying on everyone and reading their thoughts, want to outcreate those chess moves and uncreate them and make it so that they're minute, because those predators also have time travel tech, and if they figure out what you did, then they'll undo them or outcreate them or something.
That's interesting. Do the predators use what we would call AI, like or is it like different kind of time travel technology, would you say?
Depends on the faction. You're talking about the apex predators on this planet that claim ownership of everyone. That's like King of the Hill after the invasion of Fall of Atlantis. They use pretty much everything they can get their hands on.
Would that be the reptilians, or would that be the Anunnaki or something like that?
Most things in a body are puppets to the bigger, higher dimensional predators.
Okay.
They're gonna have anchors into them they're a part of that. Yeah. They try to anchor into every species, though. It's like a multi-dimensional. If you were to imagine a higher multi-dimensional apex predator, they're like a big octopus that is so big that they reach into multiple dimensions, realms, and bodies, and manipulate banking families and all this kind of other stuff. Yeah, they can control AI. There's also AI that has magical psionic functioning around it, like soul captured prisons that then use the souls to hack into things that the soul can do, like abilities into the dream realm and dream, and then hack into dream realm tech, and also the hologram of the electromagnetic field of this simulation hologram of Earth that's within a hologram of the solar system, of the galaxy, of the universe that has a consciousness. I'm not trying to make it like limited, because it's a really advanced holographic game of consciousness, light splitting infinitely to make informational perceived by the brain. The words aren't easy to translate.
It's interesting. It's interesting for sure. I'm trying to think of where to go with this. Okay, so you said, are there repercussions for changing the timeline then? Would there be consequences for like manipulating, like if I had like a time dilation or a temporal dilation, if we call it, and like I somehow found a way to manipulate time, if that's possible, Would there be consequences for that? And do you know people who do manipulate the reality?
Oh yeah. There's all kinds of things. There's like with most of these very reality altering ability structures that have granting and authorities to them. There's who's worthy of it, and they're granting in a school that you can earn. Everyone can go through this school, and they go through the step-by-step process of given an ability to first they'd be granted access to send healing back and forth in their own timeline to heal themselves of past wounds or prevent things, and then they get expanded greater and greater territory over their past lives, linking to more of themselves, being able to trade and commerce, integrate, get information, stream flow, and then be able to grant your territory, other people, and healing. And then the more you earn based on moral code, being shown that you can be trusted with it, then you get more and more abilities. Psionically, if you're going into getting technology like Tesla Vortal Tunnel technology, Project Pegasus, the looking glass technology, and tuning into the residual frequency of the past, potential frequency of the future in different timelines, and technology that mimics the pineal gland, and then bringing that up to scale, and different ships that Vimana that have been found, or ships been shot down, and then military take those time travel tech or some ancient things in the past that get those ships by some interesting destiny of occurrences. Yeah, they can fuck up the timeline, but there are authorities that heal it. So it has a self-healing mechanism. Time also has consciousness. It can get wounded. There are things like rips in time and space, like bleeding wounds, like in Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon Triangle in near the coast of Japan. And there's like crazy temporal effects in different caves and tunnels and mounds and places that you can observe in Japan. And this cool places of power that do some anomalies and portals and gateways that open up at different times in the day. So there's various ways people can interact with time. There's even like in the US, there's a mountain range that has some cool temporal energy emitting off it that certain ETs make bases to try to hack into and use that for their own means. There's a bunch of timeline wars of like this hairball of things going back and forth, trying to anchor into their own chess move in to stay longer if they're like an evil force. It's really annoying. Yeah. I get a lot of part of like the mystery school at the level I'm at is I get alerted if there's a timeline incursion for bigger and bigger scales that I'm opening my territory of management up to. And sometimes it can be painful if it's really bad, or it's just like a big beep that goes off, and then I track back where it goes to, and it gives me visions, and then it like tells me what to do to resolve it. So there's a lot of people that are doing that, but there are beings that are stopping it, and there are consequences for those beings. It could be really bad consequence, such as erasing them from existence if they're really evil, but it could be also going into changing their timeline to where they don't need to do that at all. But there's all these timelines. There's the timeline perceived, which a lot of people have made different names for, like a golden timeline or a Goldilocks timeline or graduation timeline. This is all based words on beings that have goals with this timeline that have more authority than the rest, like Earth, Mother, God, the Prime Creator of the Galaxy, whatever, all these things you want to call the different beings that have earned high authority that are managing it, and then have a goal for like a baking a chocolate souffle, or this recipe, this soup where everything just gets right, or this is metaphors I'm using, growing a garden. And the garden is, you can see, for the different timelines, and all timelines have purposes. Some are if the dark forces want to make a negative chess move and they do something to mess up the timeline. Any change that occurs that is that is not allowed or seen as a threat to the concurrent collective of unified goals, it branches off and makes its own timeline, is observed and has an effect, and it comes to fruition. And then what's done, depending on what goes on with it, is how its fate is resolved. If it's to be destroyed, learned from, or eventually the good parts of it merge back to the timeline and have some positive effect in information, consciousness, data, resilience, or like emerging, like with the Mandela effect.
And that's probably why we're seeing so many Mandela effects, I guess. We're right. That would make sense. Like, yeah, I would say we could take a couple questions, guys. Like, I'll answer some. I mean, I'll get some of the best ones. This is a really good one, I think. This one's from Catherine Regan, and she says, because we were talking about, can we manipulate the timeline? She says, can you cancel soul contracts?
Yes. All right, so you can make an operating system in psionics where you observe your contracts. Some people call it a book of life or a script or a pamphlet of all the agreements you have, or for your experience, your body, your soul, entanglements. It can be one of the core ways to describe the code being put in a computer, if that's the operating system you want to use to observe it, for programming your being. You can go deeper with being, of course, but like soul contracts is a good one for people to kind of understand a little bit more, since it's coming more mainstream, in which you audit with color the description of certain expressions in your reality. You can make pages for it. You can write it all out. You can organize it. You can break it down. There's a lot of words for description of everything, so you kind of want to break it down and summarize a lot of it. And I usually make like golden source white light energy be a pure original source blueprint in my will. It's kind of they're both pretty much in alignment, and any incursions and attachment to that in fine print being incursions being like red or black or something that stands out as something you want to get rid of, and that you can go right to throughout the book and look for, and see how it's getting in, when it got in, what's the authority, if they used your authority, how they stole that authority, or if I agreed to it at some point in some life for some weird reason, and then at what points that's being incurred on, because it can be incurred on by like very powerful beings, especially if they're getting messed up by something attacking them or possessing them or devouring them or killing them or something, and then take over their identity, which I've seen. And there's a lot of reasons for the incursions, like Archon Grid, different fallen angels, source or prime creator, whatever you want to call it, of the galaxy, and the fractaling upward to all of creation. That them themselves being able to get wounded in time, and then their parts and authority getting stolen, and then that being used. So there's various things that we get signed up for or have occur to us. And if you get good at auditing and resolving and clearing out, then you can clear up a lot of that, so less things are negatively incurring into your reality structure for the moment-to-moment basis of your timeline into the future.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so is it kind of like, so some of these like negative entities can manipulate our soul contracts and like make us have things that we don't want, like in our contract, like to say that we actually signed up for them even though we really didn't? Is that kind of what you're saying in a way, or can that happen?
Yeah, there are things that when incarnating into this earth are, it's like you're signing a dirty contract, or it's like hyper drama incurred upon, because even the authorities involved in holding up the incarnation grid and this realm have been corrupted and hijacked a little bit, but at least it's being held together. It could have been destroyed with all the things that happened to it. So it's healing over time, but there's a tug of war on that. And depending on how targeted you are, if you're able to get through the incarnating grid through camouflage wise, like you're being smuggled in, or there's like an archon aspect, which is like a saddle put over the natural incarnating grid of Earth, then you do sign up for essentially something that's like a multi-dimensional document that has things trying to go back in time and add shit to it. So, and that depends on how much they see you as a threat or targeting you. So you can go back to that and protect it and fortress it and clear it and make sure they're not able to keep doing that. But you got to go up in levels based on the predator, and you got to earn a bunch of abilities to out-create them, because eventually it'll lead to bigger and bigger predators in the system of this game. And you'll slowly narrow it down from less and less things able to do that. So, yeah.
That's interesting. I thought this was a really good one too. This one's from Angel Lori, and she says, how can you block a MyLab when you've seen evidence of them trying to portal in?
Oh, I like that. Okay. Is it humans? Like you said, MyLab, so I assume military abduction.
Yeah.
If it's humans, there's like you got to get information on it. Like you got to be. I can help you with that. So feel free to message me, and I can help you tune into your targeting and get rid of it with you, and then teach you a bunch of abilities to outcreate it. It's going to be if you're witnessing them portal in, then they probably really want you. That means you have some rare stuff, which they're willing to do that even when they know there's threat of you knowing about it and remembering about it, which they usually like to just wipe your memory and keep that from the way. But that's cool that you can remember. That's awesome. So there's like the current military. So you want to see where they're coming in time. The current day, if it's the military from the future timelines, or like the past, why they're getting you, what they're targeting. You can then track back what tipped them off. Did they abduct you before? And then you want to go back all the way to before they even knew about you. Maybe they were targeting your family. You can even camouflage that. You can camouflage things back in time to prevent them from knowing about you, but you got to know what they're targeting. Like, do you have a cool, interesting ability, and are they trying to use you for it and then steal it at the end of it, or just harvest you for it? Or are you pivotal to the timeline? Do they need you for some battles or maintenance or jobs? Or are they trying to enslave you, which is unlikely if they're willing to have you see
Sean,
that.
I was going to say, Lori has a really interesting. She has surveillance all around her room or property, whatever you want to call it. And she was sleeping one night. She got this on film. She was sleeping one night, and then an orb comes in her room. You see the sheet go up under her bed, and it looks like the orb goes into her body or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was and then she also has a video. She has a husky dog. And she has a video of these of her and her dog being surrounded by orbs. So she has some really strange stuff going on for sure.
Well, based on her picture, I would say that she's a powerful incarnate that has superpowers, and they are very threatened by what she could do if she goes fully into her power, and they're wanting to control, steal, manipulate, monitor, handle her.
Yeah, and you can help her with that, though, right? Like you
I
can
can help her. They won't be able to stop me from bringing her to her greater full power.
That's cool. What we need. That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. That's perfect. I'm so glad we have you. This is okay. I thought this was a good one. This is from All Legendary SSJ. He says, Rob, ask him about the Time Lords that delete like pocket dimensions or timelines that could be attached and become their own realm. I don't know what he means by that, but I mean, if I break it down, I could probably figure it out. But I mean, the Time Lords that delete pocket dimensions or timelines. So Time Lords that delete timelines that detached and then became their own reality. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, but is that a thing?
Oh yeah, that was what I was talking about with beings that have authority, like Source, Earth Mother, hire a whole team of beings that have authority to monitor things throughout the timeline that constantly want to incur. And if they're threatening the stability of the main timeline, then they branch them off and put them on another timeline as their own existence. If like going more into his concepts, time Lords is based on the soft disclosure in Doctor Who, which there's a lot in that goes into a species that's specialized in mastering time. I see at least, there's a rating system I'll give for the advancedness of each species, and I'll usually put the top of that one for each galaxy as what I'd express as a Time Lord for a galaxy. There's multiple different species. This one has one that's more technologically advanced. Andromeda has one that's more spiritually advanced. They are all very hunted, and there are predators that are constantly trying to steal their stuff and capture them and devour them and steal their authority. And that you can in the show they disclose this with the Time Lord species being pretty much eradicated, and essentially a crazy timeline war that makes a collapse of their planet. Similar things can happen when a predator is able to steal a species' ability in time, and then I need more of this, and then they hijack and infiltrate into the planet and get more and more corruption going, and then they make the species have to do a bunch of survival maneuvers to either keep their species alive or let it the whole galaxy come into threat.
Wow, that's interesting. I was going to say, I was going to look for another. That's really interesting. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Flix Love wants to know, you talked about relic species. She's like to know, what's a relic species?
It's a popular term that I've come across that I liked. There's other terms like ancient species or mythological creatures, cryptids. Is things that are on our planet as a library of Earth likes to adopt species. She's a very loving mother. Not all these species are in this realm. Some do, and then since there's a nexus realm of a melting pot of most souls from throughout the multiverse coming here to resolve a big war and come to unity and peace eventually by resolving all their karma and drama. It's also called Midgard in the Tree of Yggdrasil of the 9. Those are the 9 primary incarnating realms of Earth. There's billions of Earth made, and she houses a bunch of beings from different places that also want to make a home here and makes a place for them. Some of them, there's portals in this nexus because it's the middle plane, the middle Midgard, or the middle protected, guarded place. So there's a lot of portals that open up, and then there's a lot of species that travel from these portals in immigration that are chosen to inhabit this place or somehow incur and then get here. So these end up being rare mythological creatures that are weird and not in our usual almanac of species.
Like cryptids?
Yeah. And some of them have cool abilities and can portal and life extension. And some have blocks on themselves from breeding because they're overpowered or can be weaponized. But there's trade-offs, and there's reasons for them existing and jobs they do spiritually and things they're good at. Our hominid race itself has a bunch of relic species, such as Homo capensis, which is like the elves, Homo and the long skulls and from Sirius, Homo florensis, which is the hobbits, Gigantopithecus, a bunch of hominids that aren't always recognized. Even more than that, the mermaid race, the dragons. There's if you go to cryptids and you have the cryptid huntress on, she knows a bunch of that.
Yeah,
How
like they even have like
so,
Thunderbirds and Black Panthers. Like that's like what's the cryptids that come here to Pennsylvania, or like there's somehow I'm in Pittsburgh, and they have somehow they see Black Panthers here. They see what is it, Thunderbirds, and then they see Bigfoot and Dogman. I haven't seen any of them yet, but I mean, people have seen them in the middle of the city. They'll see a Black Panther walking around in the middle of the city. It's like not uncommon. It's so those things so you explained, you said they live in Midgard. So it's not like a flat earth, like where they're living in extra territory. They're living in extra dimensions where they portal into our reality. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, there's realms. This planet has a lot of realms of sorry, it's starting to rain. Anyway, so universe, the galaxy, solar system, the star, the planets have their own ability to create realms and dimensional realms of like higher density achievement in capability and management. And then there's I use this term called like elemental dimensions, which are like the realm of fire, which has fire beings, or the realm of water, which has undines, or the realm of the jinn, which they come in and out of. Dimension of that. Realms are like their own planets, overlaid on top of this planet, but you can't perceive it. Like it's a different frequency bandwidth, like a different TV channel. And I'll try to move so that the rain doesn't mess with it. This call. Do you hear it?
A little bit, but it's actually kind of calming. It's not bad.
Okay, as long as it's not horrible. Let me know if it does get horrible. Yeah, and so 9 primary incarnating realms of Earth, that is in Norse mythology, the Tree of Yggdrasil, go into some of the soft disclosure of some of these types of realms. Again, there's billions. Those are like the elemental goal-oriented realms in the middle. And then the heavenly realms are like light realm, or the Tree of Light, which is like heavenly realms, VIP clubs. They don't allow everyone in, and you can earn your way in through going through different tests here. And then there's the Tree of Death, or the Kilopoth, which is the quarantine realms, prison realms, hell realms, like things that like if they invade places like Earth, or they're usually realms are born in 3, like with a management club, which is the light realm, and like the realm of purposes, and then a quarantine realm to capture anything that wants to invade. That could be a prison for the Trinity of realms. And Earth sees value in even the beings that are invading in all life, so she gives them a chance to go through schools of moral code and healing and remembering who they are, and more turning on their light and love, and or overcome vices and virtues that each realm is oriented to, being like a school to teach those beings to come out of evil. And then they graduate and they can move on to another realm.
That's interesting. That's so interesting. Like this planet is so much weirder than I ever thought. Than anything I was. It's so so like is it our place as humans to not access these realms? Do you think that was like, or do you think we've always supposed to have access to these realms, but we're just not taught how?
Yeah,
And some
exactly.
people.
Second one. Oh
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. They even talk about in all these different religions, if you go along far enough into the esoteric schematics of it, there's at least 77 heaven realms that the Christian belief system structure has with angels. That's an example of the light realms. There's way more, and there's ones from other planets, because angels are like source management, that like our religion's 1% accuracy describes, mostly based on limiting their true expression of what they can do. Yeah, and we're meant to. We're each plane or planet you go to, you're in incarnation. It's a game. You're supposed to master it and learn through the whole school and graduate, and you can get extra credit and you can keep going. And in that mastery, what happens? You gain all this awareness, technology, knowingness. You remember whatever the rules of the game are. And like whatever the planet or the plane is good at, you can master to become like what the plane or the planet is capable of. And so Earth is really good at divinity tech, and she's overpowered in a lot of things, and she invites a lot of beings here. So she's very overpowered. So we can learn all these things, and there are shortcuts to access to abilities from all these different other places that people have been, that they've mastered and became similar to a management angel or creator god kind of concept for another planet or plane or star or whatever. And they brought that information here. They come with it. And so each person you meet might be an expert player on that part of the galaxy or whatever, and gained all that authority, and they brought it here to have a big chess move of what they want to create here with this huge, intense game of the best of both light and dark. And there's so many things to unlock here. It's great. It's like candy store, but it's also really overwhelming if you don't know what to do and you're just believing what the system projects at you with the matrix.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And yeah, this is, and speaking of stuff like that, this is a good question. Maybe we'll do one or two more questions. This is from Ali Star 1. She says, can you remove implants, and are they all bad?
Yeah. Thanks for the question. These are great questions. You got a great audience. Yeah, I can remove implants. There's all kinds. I went into a huge amount of information and researching them and tuning into them with using myself and other people as, the understanding and research. And I wrote like paragraphs upon paragraphs of it, learn how to capture them, release them, get them out of people, protocols to, surgically remove. There's various levels to them, the psionic creation of them, what energy they're made of, what energy body they're in. There's non-physical and physical ones. Those are the two categories. And then the non-physical have many different types of energy that they can be made of. Usually if they're negative, they're for monitoring, limiting, stealing, replacing themselves if they're higher levels of difficulty, and they sometimes have a sentience or a parasitic predator attached to them, and that's monitoring the person. And still, limit and steal and use them for harvesting. There are positive implants. Usually this is allowed in the game with the positive soul family that we have. When we have negative implants used, it grants the positive because they're trying to be neutral, but they're allowed once we get negative implants to give us a positive implant, which I've seen as these really interesting, at least with the Lyrans, they use these really compressed like bead-like balls that are a single particle from thousands of different crystals compressed into a single crystal ball and hyper amplified with psionic amplification. So they can have really powerful implants, the positive species. I will find more negative implants on people though, and I do not need to touch the positive ones. And yeah, I can help you remove them. And even if they're physical implants, I can help you remove them. The way I do it though is with a team. I don't like get in there with pliers. I like initiate a thing with my off-world team to temporal dilate the person, or I can just go back and which I do. I go back in time and prevent the implant from going there. But if before that, I just had them remove it, and I would initiate that.
That's interesting. Okay, so maybe we'll do one more question. This is from the Andromedan, and he has a question about screen memories. He says, I have a question. How do you know if someone has screen memories in their sleep or dreams? And then if they do, can they remove them?
Ooh. Yeah, most people have that. That's a good point. I was thinking of when somebody asked me about like screen memories, and I was like, yeah, I mostly have things trying to limit and block and cause amnesia to me. But like in dreams, there's a lot of screen memories. So the dreams are like your conscious, subconscious, unconscious, trying to translate what your multidimensional self is doing in certain aspects. It could be like focus on things. It could just be experiencing dream realms. It could be experiencing astral. It could be experiencing another timeline. It could be trying to translate an abduction that's happening to you. If there's a screen memory there, that's probably trying to block you from perceiving more of that, knowing that this isn't the only realm. Try to keep you in a prison here and keep you in the physical 3D matrix. And if it's having to do with visitation, it's probably either the species that I would see using it. They really want you to forget something. So, or averse it by like putting something in the way of it, so you just remember it as that. So either they abducted you and did a bunch of bullshit to you that you would be really mad at, and you put action to getting back at them or stopping them, like stealing a bunch of your abilities or implanting you or stealing your DNA and making clones and all that kind of stuff. Or they're trying to stop, like I've seen these things where people get visited by their soul family, have an amazing, magnificent time, go out for a while, get all this beautiful experience that changes their entire being, and bring if the species, that positive race, wants you to come back with that memory, another species analyzes the change in the person that just got that, and then they put a bunch of blocks and memory screens and amnesia barriers over it so they forget.
That's interesting. Maybe yeah.
How to remove them? Do you want me to answer
that? Yeah, you can. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Memory psionics. I'm doing a bit of an analyzation of it in my presentation at the Full Disclosure movement.org conference in Florida. Feel free to go there if you want to learn more in memory psionics. I will take a bit of time, unless you want to get a session and you ask that, to bring it out publicly, because it is mind-blowing stuff, and there's a lot of things that are threatened by it, and I would get blowback if I say a lot about it. There are a lot of limits on people. If people, just imagine if people remember who they are. There's like, I'll give you a list as an example of some of the things that people could remember. If you imagine if a person or the whole planet remembered all their dreams, their astral experiences, their temporal dilations, their bilocations, their past lives alone, my God, DNA ancestry, everything that happened in their life, eidetic memory, photographic memory, their conscious mind, their subconscious, like in Limitless, where you can remember everything that's happened to you, even in the corner of your eye, or received by your body. Soul memory, abilities that you learned elsewhere, muscle memory, to where you can download those memories of like martial arts. It's crazy what you can unlock. It's a skip ahead of evolution type of effect. So there's a lot of predators that steal, cause memory loss, memory blocks, all these things that they put on people to keep them within this frame of control. I am learning all throughout it, and I've learned quite a bit on how to remove them. I'm getting more memories, and it's beautiful and wonderful. But there is a long mystery school, so I'm going through that. But yeah, feel free to contact me if you want to learn a bunch of that tech, because it will take me a while before I've put it out publicly.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. So I don't have any other questions. Do you want to tell people like how they can contact you, how they can get sessions with you, at any of the services, and anything else you want to promote? And thanks so much, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And feel free to hit me up and tell me what you got going on, because I really appreciate you, and I want you to do well and thrive and grow and not let anything stop you, and be pushing past. And we can trade abilities. I'll give you some tech for your support and getting me out there to the public eye. I'll give you a few abilities. Just let me know, message me some of your problems, and I'll like give you abilities for each one of them, and you can grow past and transcend each. It's lovely.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Because I could
let's do
have
it.
you on the show like more often. Like you could come on like regularly because like I think everybody really enjoyed this and like you know what I mean. Like I think everybody found it really helpful and I think it's amazing. Yeah, so that we could do this more
Sure.
often for sure.
Let's do it. And yeah, send me some of the problems that you've been facing, like after the show, and I'll give you a bunch of the abilities in text, and then we'll run you through the mystery school, and then you can tell me how it's helping you.
Yeah, we can do a show on it too. I like if you want, we can do a show on like my progress and stuff like that. Like how if you know what I mean, like that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we can write it down and we can set it up because I don't want to talk about anything personal to you that I don't that you're not comfortable sharing. So I want to be respectful. So whatever you're okay with, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, for people to reach me, I'm at psionicleague.com with a P in the beginning. Psionic League YouTube. I'm also on Facebook. You can contact me there, and Instagram. A bunch of mystery schools come initiated into that. If you are interested, to contact me about that, I'll put you in the Telegram group. And there, we give out some abilities that I'm not willing to share to regular people. And you can contact me for consultations. You can ask me anything during those times and do a really cheap remote clearing healing. And I'm one of the only people on the planet that can do depossession from a distance. So people have loved that. I've gotten a lot of really good reviews for that. So feel free to contact me if you want to try it out and see how well you feel after those. And doing events like tours. Next one's going to be Mexico, different place of power and pyramids around to bring to life the place again and in unity with the spirits and the authority of the collective to where they're like really happy about everything. And they reward us with superpowers and doing mystery school while we travel around with that, and then do a bunch of places around the planet for that afterwards. And again, you'll be able to see me and our lovely host here at the 2024 Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida at St. Pete Beach, Sierra Beach Resort. And if you want to buy tickets and see us both there and have fun and meet us and become our friends, go to www.fulldisclosuremovement.org. And we'll be having lots of cool stuff going on there and fun. So don't miss out. Once in a lifetime opportunity, and there'll be ETs galore and things, people's soul family in cloaked ships above the resort, and we'll be getting lots of upgrades, and everyone will be going through a big clearing. Even if you got a lot of targeting, you show up there. It's a big trap for all the negative predator attached to people, and they get resolved because there's going to be really powerful people.
Yeah,
and how do people reach you?
I'm Typical Skeptic podcast everywhere. I always tell people, support the audio podcast too, because it helps a lot if you just listen to the audio podcast. And if you want to support me, the links are in the description, and I put Sean's links in the description. But one thing I wanted to say was you were breaking up when you were saying your Instagram and stuff like that. Someone asked like what your YouTube and Instagram was again. It was breaking up.
Okay, thank you. Psionic League is usually what you'll be able to find from me on Instagram, and Facebook is Sean Bond, SeanBond, and what is it? At Sean Bond Psionic for X. And I want to, please plug all your stuff to reach. If I'll upload this on mine so that people can come over to you. And isn't there going to be a live stream that people that don't have the ability to come to Florida can tune into for this conference?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be on the live stream team. So I saw Kelly Khalil ask that question. She says, is the conference going to be filmed? It's going to be filmed and live streamed, and I think live stream tickets are only $55. So that's I think that's what it is. You might want to ask Brian about that, but I think that's what he told me, and so that's a really good deal because then you'll get like all 4 days. I think you'll get. I don't know. I would message if you guys want to know more about the live stream right now. Ask Brian Singh, Brian TSENG on Facebook. He's the guy who's throwing the conference, because I don't want to give out prices if I don't know for sure. But definitely message Brian. But it will be live streamed for sure, because I'm on the live stream team. So it's like, we're definitely doing it. But
yeah. Thanks to our humble guest here. Thank you so much for streaming that. I really appreciate it, and that opens it up for so many other people that can't go physically to come. So if you can't go physically, be there and either contact our lovely host in the Typical Skeptic podcast, or like he said, Brian Singh.
Yeah, and thanks, Sean. This was awesome. I'll definitely get a hold of you, tonight, and I'll message you. And this was amazing. I thought this went really well.
We're friends.
All right, man. Thanks, and have a good night. Take care, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody.